In this video, we're going to discuss how to stop listening to your ego. We'll address the questions, what is the ego? Why should I stop listening to the ego? How do I recognize my ego? And more. Keep watching to learn how to transcend your ego and instead align with your true, authentic self, the font of peace and happiness within. In order to stop listening to the ego, we first need to identify precisely what the ego is so that we may recognize it when it surfaces. Spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle often refers to the ego as the mind-made self. The ego is identification with the mind, identification with your thoughts, the merging of thought and identity. The ego is the angry, agitated voice you hear inside when someone disagrees with your opinion or offers a different worldview. It's that internal reaction that goads us into taking offense, taking sides, or declaring ourselves superior to others.
My brain is better than everybody's!
The ego comes about as a result of a lack of self-awareness. It propagates itself by feeding on drama, by adding to its personal story of either triumph or victimhood. The ego fails to recognize that it is its own source of unhappiness, because the ego is the unobserved mind itself. The ego is unawareness given a voice, and that vocalization is often, unfortunately, the sound of self-destruction. The simplest way to answer the question, why should I stop listening to my ego, is because, to speak candidly, it's not who you truly are. The ego is the conditioned mind, your idea of who you are, while the real you, your true authentic self, is the observer behind these thoughts. You are not your mind, you are consciousness. Your mind is a tool within your consciousness tool belt to be utilized when needed and to be holstered when not. As you go forward, begin observing your thoughts rather than reacting to them, and you will discover this statement to be true. Paradoxically, in order to stop listening to your ego, you must begin listening to your ego. The difference being, this time from a place of awareness. The most effective way I have found to train oneself to begin to recognize the ego is through the process of daily meditation.
Meditate on this. I will.
When we meditate, we teach ourselves to observe our thoughts rather than react to them. A space is created within, a space between the thought and the action or non-action, which comes next. At present, if someone says something to you which you find offensive, you may immediately become angry and react accordingly. By meditating, when someone says something which triggers us, we're able to observe the feeling of anger rising within. Because of this increase in self-awareness, we are able to then choose how we wish to respond, rather than succumb to the former knee-jerk negative response. With practice, we're no longer the victims of our own emotions. We get to choose how we wish to feel each day and in every moment, regardless of external circumstances. So, to summarize, you are not your thoughts. You are not the angry voice in the head. This is the ego. You are the observer of this phenomena, consciousness itself. The ego represents the false self, your conceptual self, again, meaning the idea of who you think you are. Your true, authentic self is the one who bears witness to these things. We can stop listening to the ego via the simple act of self-observation, with meditation serving to bolster this ability. Observing one's self will show us the ego in action, and by bringing awareness to that which is unaware, it will gradually dissipate and fade into the nothingness from which it came. In its place, you will find that inner peace and happiness were there all along, just waiting for an opportunity to surface.